What does it mean to become a minimalist? To be a monk and give up worldly possessions? To be a nomad and live out of a backpack while traveling the world? To live in total isolation in the woods with as little as possible? In a world that is messy and chaotic, I think it gives us comfort to have some structure, a set of rules to follow. Like any lifestyle trend, it helps us to envision what minimalism looks like without actually doing the work ourselves to figure out what it means to us and how it could apply to our unique and individual lives. The white walls, clean aesthetics, minimal possessions, and monochromatic and curated life. The depiction of minimalism is sterile, but aspirational, and it gives us an illusion that this lifestyle trend can somehow wipe away all of our problems and polish our complicated lives. But for those of us who have children, hobbies, home offices, colorful and complex lives, how does minimalism fit into our lives?
I blame the word minimalism because I think it can be very misleading. The word minimal, it alludes to the fact that we should minimize our lives in order to achieve this mindset and lifestyle. But I think it's really important to take a second to think about what are we minimizing and what are we trying to achieve with minimalism. Minimalist lifestyle, while it gained popularity in the last decade, it's actually not a modern movement at all. In fact, it dates back 2,500 years ago to a Greek philosopher named Diogenes of Sinope. He had no money, and the only thing he owned was a cloak, walking stick, and a little leather pouch, and he chose to live in a rain barrel. And at that time, he was already rejecting society's norms, conventional desires for social status, power, and wealth. The core of minimalism is deeply rooted in Buddhism as well. In a society that promotes conspicuous consumption, both minimalism and Buddhism redirects the focus onto ourselves. At its core, both philosophies encourage us to detach from external objects and pare down only to our essentials. While I think we should give some credit to the writers, bloggers, and influencers who introduced minimalist lifestyle into today's mainstream media, this idea of living with less is nothing new. To sum it up, the contemporary minimalist movement is a response to our overly materialistic culture that pushes this narrative of more is better. And this can be an alternative way for us to find contentment with everything that we already have. It can redirect our desires, resources, and goals to find our own version of freedom. However, like anything in mainstream media, I feel that the focus has been too much on the appearance of minimalism instead of the deep-rooted philosophy itself. I personally have no problem with people who decide to live without furniture, or if they like to count how many belongings they have, if they want to wear the same thing every single day. But to reduce minimalism down to a certain fashion aesthetic, or spending money to have a certain minimalist aesthetic, is simply another form of conspicuous consumption. In other words, it's completely missing the point. Also, there seems to be a strong emphasis on owning as little as possible and just having the bare essentials. Only having a certain number of items in our closets, or just being able to fit everything that we have in a small backpack. Again, to each their own, but just equating minimalism with these extreme lifestyles, it can be very excluding and off-putting to other people who lead completely different lives. I have so many things in my budget that are not justifiable according to that definition. For example, I like to get my favorite dessert from my favorite pie shop. I like to have a vinyl collection and to add things to my painting set. Of course, I can live without these things because they're not essential, but these things genuinely make me happier as a person. A lot of us have to buy in bulk for non-perishable items because it's much cheaper that way, even if it means it's going to crowd our space. We have more than 30 pieces in our closet because our bodies change, and also because of temperamental climate that we live in. What if we can't achieve the meticulous minimalist home aesthetic because we have children and dogs and elderly parents or roommates, or simply because we're just renting the place? Now, does this disqualify us from becoming a minimalist? This is why putting labels on everything can be more harmful than good. It can exclude a lot of the people who could benefit from minimalism, but it turns them away because they can't mold into this solid idea of what it is. There are no humans on this earth with the same exact lifestyle and obligations. So why is there only one formula, one structure to follow this certain lifestyle? So the question is, who exactly can practice minimalism? No, you do not have to live in a rain barrel like Diogenes, nor do you have to become a Buddhist monk to practice minimalism. While I value the core minimalist principles, I'm not willing to turn my back on the necessities of our modern day life. No matter who we are or what our life context is, social class, age, living circumstances, we can all try to become more intentional with how we spend our time, our money, and resources. And this can be taking steps towards minimalism. For some, they might start their minimalist journey because of their increased awareness in the environmental movement. For some others, it might be just because they want to get out of debt. Whatever the reason is, minimalism is just a tool to ultimately help us gain more control over our lives and define what freedom truly means for every single one of us. I'm not interested in eliminating all the options out there, but knowing what options are available to me, then deliberately choosing the one that fits. Not living with as little as possible, but living with only those things that have a purpose or meaning. Knowing what is enough and knowing what is too much. It's the art of decision making, time management, and just learning how to balance everything in life. There is no right or wrong way of doing minimalism, but no one can do the work for us. No one can tell us what it looks like. No one can show us exactly what to do. We have to self-reflect. We have to dive deep into figuring out what freedom truly means for us and what are we willing to do to get there. I guess this journey started for me because I really didn't want to be reduced down to what I wear, where I shop, or what I own. My bag or my car or my house. It shouldn't be an emblem of my social status. Minimalism really helped me to narrow down what I truly need to survive, but also to be happy. And now I can concentrate on enjoying everything else this life has to offer. So let me ask you, what does minimalism mean to you?